And we're live here on YouTube. I'd like to welcome those listening that joined us from the link on Facebook, as well as my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mike. A little tired, but well, yeah, it was a good day today at Iron Sharpens Iron, and even got a little bit of time to spend time with the wife and the missus before my missus to before coming down and talking with you and with everybody else. And you know and it was nice getting kind of like a midweek break to watch some Cubs baseball, even if the result wasn't what I was hoping for.
Rich, we say it about baseball being on a baseball field, but let's be honest. A bad day watching baseball is better than a good day anywhere else, especially at the office.
All right, Mike, how was your week?
You know, the kids were on spring break, and so for me that was really nice. I got a lot of stuff done. We ended up having a snow day. I still worked. I worked from home a bit on Wednesday because it was funny. So Wednesday after the game, so Wednesday before the game, it was perfect outside, and I was like, man, that it looks great. And I was like, well, we think it's great, but and then like I'm like, God, well, it's not coming, it's fine. I'll probably end up going. Just give me a second. And then after the game gets over, I'm like, oh, it's snowing decently, but it's not that bad. And so I'm like, hey, here's what we're gonna do. I said I can go. So I got ready to go and I left. And as I left, I got past the Elks and it was whiteout condition.
Really?
Yep.
That bad?
Yep. So I turned around and went home. So the roads were not great. We're already going bad, and I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm gonna go home. It's not worth it to me to risk it all. So I decided that's what I'm doing. So with that, Rich, I got a day to spend with the kids, and then I spent Monday, Tuesday night by myself with the kids because my wife had parent-teacher conferences, and then Friday she had the day off and I took the day off, and so we went to Sioux Falls by ourselves, which was nice. Got Red Robin.
Ooh.
No, that's not the right response. Got Red Robin.
Yum.
Come on, yum.
Okay.
We went to which we don't have nearby us, and then it's going to take a couple weeks. Anyway, so it was nice to do that. Okay, Rich, we got a show to talk about, though.
We do.
Friday night, we're hanging out. We're going to talk sports. In that, we're going to talk baseball, how the Cubs did, what we think the AL and NLCS look like, and we're also going to talk NFL rule changes. Rich, what else we got?
Well, we're going to be going into the NASCAR corner as we got to talk about what happened in Las Vegas next week, and also give you our predictions for Homestead, Miami, which is tomorrow afternoon. And we'll also be we'll probably be talking about our busted brackets, as we'll kind of be reviewing how our NCAA tournament pick'em challenge is going. But Mike, what do we got to do first, buddy?
We got to roll the intro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich. Before we do any of that, it's time for a poll question. Rich, do you want to build a snowman? Nope, nobody does. Apparently, everybody wants to have a snowball fight. We had 3 votes for snowball fight, 1 vote for build a snowman, and so yeah, snowball fight wins. Rich, you and I voted, and so did Craig Johnson. Thanks for voting, Craig. If you want a shout out like Craig got, you should join our poll questions. Vote on them every week at facebook.com/ballsand6 or facebook.com/fans of balls and six or Rich and Mike's page. Any of those ways to do it. You vote. We'll read it out. We'll let the people know what you want to do. Apparently, but I'm guessing nobody wants to do it because we're near the end of the season. We might have had a snow day this week, but you guys haven't had snow for a week or two. So
we had a little bit of snow, I think, this week, but it wasn't to the point that it stuck to the ground. It was on the ground, but if it hit the cement, nope, it didn't stick.
No, it stuck it here in a couple places, but neither here nor there.
So I think, Mike, what we'll do, we'll get it. We'll make our final 2, and then we will start spring activities
next week
or springtime activities next week. Okay. So we will revisit, though. Let's maybe have it to where once we have the final 2 matchups from each season, let's reseed the entire bracket, reseed them.
Okay.
And then we will proceed from there.
Okay. So this
kind of like what the Masked Singer is doing, like with taking the final 2 finalists from each group and taking them to the final evening. So our final wintertime poll will be making a snow angel or sledding/tubing. And I will try and get that up once we get done before going to bed tonight. So at least that's up and we can start sharing that.
Yep. Okay, Rich, do you see what's coming up next?
Is it a left turn?
It is, Rich, and after that?
Is it another left-hand turn?
Yes, it is, because we're heading into the NASCAR Corner, presented as always by III Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois. Check them out for all your sports memorabilia needs in Moline on 5th Avenue or on their eBay store. Once again, this is III Sports Cards Incorporated. Rich, this last week, the boys were in Vegas, gambling away. We saw Josh Berry take his first win. Rich, tell the folks how our guys did.
Well, our guys didn't do too well, as Tyler Reddick came away with a 24th place finish, and Kyle Busch had some problems with his car as he finished 33rd. Yeah. Not last, but he finished 33rd.
Yeah, so my curse is still mostly active. At least one of us takes him out.
So yeah, as you alluded, it was Josh Berry's first career win.
Yeah.
And I think they said it was the first time where anybody had ever gotten their first career win at Las Vegas.
Wow. Okay.
So, but with Reddick finishing higher than Kyle Busch, I have a 3-2 advantage.
Yes, you do. Okay, Rich. With that, we have Homestead of Miami, a normal fall race happening in the spring.
We do, but before we get into that, let's give the folks how the fantasy NASCAR went for Las Vegas. Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I was the top finisher for Vegas with 173. Mike, you're the man in the middle with 157, and the new Dupo scored 121.
Okay, we do have to talk about a lot of guys didn't get tires on all the way this week, and so there were lots of penalties. Lots of penalties. Christopher Bell's team was penalized, I believe. Let me get the actual list of it. I had it earlier today and I left it, and that's my bad.
Yeah, and I think Kyle Busch has lost a wheel, so I think he's got a team member out.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 teams had detached wheels, so the number 8 car and the number 19 car have their jackman and their both rear tire changers are going to be suspended. So that is Chris Buescher and Kyle Busch were both suspended for this, and are going to and are going to lose guys to it, which is a crazy thing to have happen. The Christopher Bell almost had a similar thing happen, but his team caught it before he got all the way away. So
That's right.
They
I remember
pitted
seeing
back
that.
into Chase Briscoe's team pit and tightened it up, and NASCAR penalized him on the race, but did not penalize him, it looks like, over the week, which is good. Also, let me get back to that one because I'm intrigued by that one too. And then there were 4 teams in the Xfinity that had it, and 1 in the Truck Series race had some incidents. But other than that, not as many penalties as I thought there was going to be. I thought there was going to be a lot more because of that happening and with Christopher Bell. Let me get here. Following the penalty, NASCAR confirmed the rule of the car service in another team's pit stall. If Bell, so yeah, he's not going to be penalized anymore, is what it looks like. So it's fine, but it's still. I thought that was going to come with more penalties. It didn't, so that's my bad. But yeah, so a couple of wheels that came off and didn't get tightened all the way and caused a bunch of problems, and then that's what caused Kyle Busch it ripped out his brake lines at one point and blah blah blah. So yeah, it just was a bad deal. So whatever. Rich, this week they are at the Straight Talk Wireless 400 at Homestead. Who you got? You got the honor, sir.
I do. I'm going to go with William Byron. He's had a good qualifying run. He's in the 6th position, and it seems like it's almost his year this year, to where he's been finishing in the top 10 all year. So I'm going to go Willie B.
Okay, I don't mind that pick. I think there are much worse picks out there that you could have done, and I think there could be better picks, but overall, I think you kind of nailed it. I, however, think that I'm going to be better off, as I am going to pick Christopher Bell. The man is hot. The man does well at this track. Look for him to do great things this week.
All right, so you can catch that race over on FS1 with the start time being 2:15 for most of our listeners, and for us since we are in the Central Time Zone.
Yep. Okay, with that, Rich, go ahead and take us out.
All right, that was the NASCAR Corner, presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois, and you can also find them on eBay. So from the asphalt of the NASCAR track, we're going to keep making left-hand turns and go to the baseball diamond.
Yeah.
So, Mike, the Cubs were over in Japan for a very brief 2-game series with the LA Dodgers, as well as the Harshan Dragons or Tigers and the Yaramori Giants. Amongst those 4 games, 2 exhibition and 2 regular season games, they were 1-3.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers games,
0-2.
they lost both of them, 0-2.
Yeah.
So by default, they are last in the National League Central.
I don't think it'll last that way. But yeah, that was a rough way to start the year.
It kind of was.
The only game on at all the coverage about those games, which was getting extra coverage because it was being done in Japan and all that pomp and circumstance that goes with it, to then lose both of them, and not just lose them, but they didn't up until the fourth or the seventh inning in the second game wasn't even close. The first few innings of the first game, they went what, 12 innings without or 10 innings without getting a hit, 11 innings or something like that without getting a hit combined in the 2 days. I don't think it has to do with the Cubs as much as it has to do with the Dodgers.
Yeah, but there were a lot of the same issues that you saw last year with this team, of not being able to get timely hits, and by the time the bats did wake up, you were already in a 3 or 4-0 hole.
Yeah.
And on Monday, the Tuesday's game, I think I had hope.
Yeah.
But they had too many errors, and the Dodgers took advantage of those errors.
Yeah. For me, there was so much stuff, like the errors, the lack of quality at bats at times. And the other side, though, was there. Ian Happ looked good at the plate. Didn't have a bad at bat, but still didn't hit a ball for a while. Just rough. It's rough when you see these things.
I'm still hopeful. I really am. I'm still hopeful with this team. We're not out of the woods yet. I think Arizona's a great team, and really the schedule gets a little bit maybe a little bit lighter once we get through the opening series with Arizona, as we get to go to Sacramento to play the Athletics, and then at home to face the Padres. But that's next week's problem. So Mike, did you make it up to watch both games, or at least listen to the games on the radio?
I actually watched both games.
Okay.
And so I stopped watching for a half hour on the Tuesday game, and then I finished at work. The Wednesday game, I just watched all of it. So.
Okay. Yeah. The Tuesday game, I took the day off, watched it from start to finish. I think I might have dozed off and then came back because it was 6 o'clock in the morning by that time. But the Wednesday game, I was listening to the game on the radio for the entire game. So for the game, I was a little surprised that the radio announcers weren't live, and it didn't even look like the TV broadcasters were there in Tokyo.
Yeah, that was weird. I wonder if there's some sort of Tokyo issue more than anything.
I think I can understand the radio people, the radio crews not being there. But it was weird. Like they were broadcasting the game as if they were in Tokyo. They were talking about the weather in Tokyo. I didn't realize that they were in Chicago until they got to the Benny's Beverage Depot at Guess the Attendance game.
Yeah. And
Coomer made a funny remark of, are we guessing the attendance here in Chicago or in Tokyo? It's like, I did not realize it because they were broadcasting the game as if they were sitting in Tokyo.
And it was again, reminiscent of COVID era stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When we were during
COVID, they didn't go on the road. They broadcasted from a studio or in the case of the Cubs, they're in their radio booth.
Yeah. Um, so I thought it was a great. I thought they did a great job for what I could hear. As soon as I left the house,
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I left the house, I lost coverage, so I couldn't listen to the game. And they said that they apparently, as soon as I left the house, I was out of coverage zone. So blah blah blah. But apparently, my house is good enough that I can listen to. My my car is not.
But yeah, I mean, I still found it odd that because normally when you're watching the game, at some point during the game, you get like the we welcome you inside the booth
Yeah.
here at this place, and you like the announcers kind of banter back and forth and talk about what's going on in the game before they resume taking the camera and go back out to the game. And I mean, I had the TV muted because I was listening to the audio of Pat, Ron, and Zach, and there were no cutaways to the booth during
Yeah.
that entire game. But I don't know if they also referenced that they were calling the game like back in the studio in Los Angeles or not.
Yeah. I just it was weird, but it was very reminiscent of COVID era baseball, and it's fine. Whatever.
And you mentioned while we're somewhat chatting off and on throughout the game, did that girl have a keg of beer on her back?
That needs to come to America. That was one of the best things I have ever seen. I think those are great, and I hope that America steals it, because keg beer is better. And you mean I don't have to go get it from my from the guy at the stand? I can have some girl bring it to me, and it doesn't have to be a girl. You can have dudes doing that. I'm okay with that too. Don't bother me.
Yeah, or you don't have the guy opening your can,
Yeah.
lugging around a big old tray of cans, canned an ice tray full of cans
Yeah.
as well. So,
So-
all right, Mike. So moving on, Mike. Before we record next Saturday night,
Yep.
the Cubs will have two games in Arizona on Thursday and Friday night.
Yeah.
How many wins you gonna give them? As of now, it is Justin Steele will pitch for the Cubs in the domestic opener, and Jamison Tejon will have game number 2 of the series.
I want to talk about that in just a second.
Okay.
Before we get into or after we give our predictions, I'm going to give them 2. I think they have the ability to bounce back, and you also know that we know that those guys are the Dodgers are one of the best teams. Like, they are the best team in baseball right now, and so. So yeah, it would have been beating them is crazy, and it's not. I'm not shocked. I think the Cubs can come back and make a play of it.
All right. I'm only going to give them one game because I think while Arizona has not announced their starter for the Friday night game, I think it's going to be Corbin Burns, and Burns has usually done pretty well against the Cubs from his days up in Milwaukee. So I'm going to give him 1.
Okay. So back to that. If your if your day one starter or your domestic day one starter, and if your domestic day one starter and your domestic day 2 starter is not your starter day 1 or day 2 or day 1, then does that mean that your starter day 1 wasn't really your shouldn't have been your starter?
I think with where they were playing at, Shota had to pitch one of those games.
I agree, but should he have?
I think he should have.
Okay.
I think he is the Cubs' best pitcher.
I think he can.
In their rotation. I don't know if he's an ace, but if you were building a playoff roster with the way, having seen just going off of what we've seen so far this year and previous track record of last year, if it were game one playoffs or like a winning tiebreaker and all my players were equal, all my pitchers were equally rested, I would give the ball to Shota.
Yeah. And I don't deny that, but I'm just saying it's like, again, I think it's more about because of where they were, not that he technically should have been the top pick.
Yeah, no, I can see your argument more on the Dodgers side.
Oh,
than on there. I totally think that Blake Snell is probably the ace of their staff, yet they went with Yamamoto and Saki, the rookie Japanese pitcher that they just signed this year to pitch game 2.
Yeah, and again, shouldn't have, but did. So, okay. With that, Rich, any more baseball? Oh, we do have some big baseball stuff to talk about. We got to tell you, it is the second to last prediction week, as we are going to tell you our NLCS and ALCS predictions. Rich.
Reviewed, Mike. The American League. The playoff teams for the American League. Mike, you went with the Yankees, the Kansas City Royals, the Texas Rangers, the Twins, the Tigers, and the baseball team that plays in Houston.
Yes.
Mike, who out of those playoff teams is making the ALCS?
I think it's going to be the Yankees and the Rangers.
Okay. For me, I went with the Yankees as well, but I put the Guardians into the playoffs. Agreed with you with the Rangers, the Tigers, but instead of Houston and Minnesota, I went with I put the Royals as a wild card instead of a division winner, and put the Boston Red Sox.
Yep.
As a wild card team.
By the way, I will point out that even though I think they've greatly improved, and I think they probably are pretty close to being a good team, there is a team that neither one of us picked that probably should have been at least in the honorable mention state.
I don't know who's that, Mike.
The Orioles.
Yeah. If they could have kept Corbin Burns, I probably would have put him into the playoffs instead of the Red Sox or the Royals, but they weren't able to get it, so I'm just not confident with their starting pitching.
Okay. I'm not denying it. I'm just saying that they should get at least an honorable mention, and I forgot about them last week and what they've done over the offseason that I've realized this last week and looked at a few more things. But with that, they are not an option for either of us. Rich, who is your preseason ALCS matchup going to be?
I'm going to go with the Yankees. I think the Garrett Cole injury to Tommy John surgery has hurt him. But I think that team will make a trade at the deadline to replace Cole. So I'll go with the Yankees. But as far as who they're going to be beating, I'm really not confident. I was finding holes with like every single one of these playoff teams. So I'm going to go with the Guardians. Because if that team has the lead in the 7th inning, their bullpen can come in and just shut things down.
Yep. And
so they're going to win a lot of close games, but they'll win off of the strength of their bullpen.
Here's the deal. We both agree, and we talked about this a little more at length pre-show just because we were there and that was the availability. I think the AL is wide open. The NL, Rich, who you have playing the Dodgers, and like is there any way that you don't form the question is who do you have playing the Dodgers in the NLCS right now?
I went with the Phillies.
Yeah, I went with the
'Cause I
Braves.
like that. I like their offense. There's a lot to like about the Phillies. They can swing the bats, and they got good starting pitching. I'm just not confident with that bullpen, but everybody else has holes that I think are bigger than the bullpen.
Yeah, yeah. Here's some just for me. One of the crazy, like, I just look at this and I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. The Dodgers are the Yankees of the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that.
They've paid all the money in the world, and they're going to be they have talent galore, and in 20 years from now, we're going to look back at it, and we're all going to hate this era of baseball because. And the Dodgers are going to gain a lot of people that are going to hate them in the next few years because all they're going to do is win. And people hate winners for some reason, unless your name is Patrick Mahomes, which I don't do. I don't know how he gets as exempt as he does as often as he does, but you know. But with that, I wholeheartedly think that the Dodgers are going to play in the NLCS, and I think the Braves. I think the rest of the league is a lot closer, but the Dodgers are number one. So, okay, with that, Rich, anything else in baseball you want to talk about?
No, not really. So let's get off from making left-hand turns and get onto the hardwood as the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Mike, my bracket is looking terrible.
How terrible?
I was feeling good about it. I really was feeling good about it going into round 2, as last night, even watching last night, I had only lost one Sweet 16 game. Only one Sweet 16 team. And then I get home from Iron Sharpens Iron, start seeing the scores on what happened during the day. And then lo and behold, I see like my projected points. It was like, what happened?
Yeah.
And then I noticed St. John's lost, and I took St. John's really far into the tournament to where they were losing in the championship game. So that really messed me up. So,
well, BYU hurt me. BYU just finished. Houston won, so that's good. Or they're 2 seconds left, and they only have a four-point lead. That's a scary one. Oh, that got a lot closer than I want it to.
But in our tournament pick'em challenge, Mike, the current leader is you with 32 points.
It's not just me though. I'm tied.
Yep. Yeah, your wife is tied and with 32 points as well, and I have 29 points, and Ian has 26.
Do you know who this Ian is?
You don't.
Okay. Well, Ian, welcome to the show.
Projected points, Mike. You are projected to win with a max points of 178. If the rest of your predictions come through, Mike, I am projected to finish in the middle with 149. Ian has 132 for projected points, and your wife would be finishing last with 130.
Okay. But it's still early. Tomorrow is another day of upsets and heartbreaking. By the way, Houston just won. Literally, it's 81-76. So with that, Houston moves on. I have Houston winning it all, playing Auburn. Rich, who do you have in your finals?
I had Auburn beating St. John's University, which is not going to happen anymore.
How did you...
I most of the time pick my winners by looking at what the matchups are, by saying like how many points do they typically score per game and how many do they allow per game. And St. John's looked good in their matchups.
I don't think you could have had St. John's versus... You couldn't have had St. John's versus Auburn. That would have been your final four.
No, I'm sorry. I had St. John's in Houston.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. That makes a lot more sense. Okay. Yeah.
I liked with the way that I played my bracket out. It looked like St. John's was either the matchups were close, or the deciding factor was which team played better defense and not played better defense. And so now I'm seeing that I probably took a team that I really wasn't that familiar with in St. John's way too far.
So here's a question for you. Did you make any of the upset picks, like the bigger upsets? So I'm going to read off the ones that I'm calling bigger upsets. So that's going to be Arkansas over Kansas. Did you catch that one?
No.
Drake over Missouri.
Not in this bracket, but I put them winning in a different bracket.
Colorado State over Memphis.
Yep.
Wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a big one. New Mexico over Marquette.
Yep.
And I think that's the last big upset that I see.
No. McNeese over Clemson. I put McNeese.
Yeah. I picked Clemson actually.
And I tried to do the Grand Canyon over
GCU.
Over who was I hate having this. I tried Grand Canyon over Maryland. That did not work out well.
So I had the upset that I had picked was Akron over Arizona.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
It was, but again, Akron is a good team.
And sometimes you gotta go with the way out there just to see, because that could be the difference maker in your pool.
Did you see that in day one, we were already down to less than 1% of brackets? It was like 0.6% of brackets were still eligible for the perfect bracket.
I did not see that. Did not.
How nuts is that? But okay. With that, Rich, have you gotten to watch any games?
Most of the games that I've watched happened on Friday night. We went over and saw Uncle Steve, who was he's recovering from knee surgery, and great time to have knee surgery, I guess, if you're going to be laid up.
I am inspired. I am inspired by Steve because I need to have knee surgery at some point. I'm going to have my knees replaced at some point. And so when I do it, I think I'm determined that I'm going to do it on either the first or second week of the tournament. Probably the second week. Do it the second week because then you get opening day as well. Like that day, you don't have to wake up super early. Yeah.
So one other thing, but yeah. So he had on the game. So we were switching between games all evening while we were out there hanging out and having dinner with him and getting the chance to visit and encourage him as he's going through the recovery process, and having some Whitey's ice cream. So
I'm jealous.
But before we go on to the I guess the NFL though, did want to circle back because I totally forgot about this point with the Cubs game.
Yeah.
Is I saw a Facebook post later that Tuesday, saying that baseball. Why somebody probably don't have the wording right, but the message is there. That put a post along the lines of, I understand why you want to have games internationally to grow the game and grow your presence in Asia, because since you have so many good Asian players now in the league, but why would you put this so early in the morning in the middle of the week?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you put these games to start on a Saturday, do a Saturday, Sunday? Put them on a weekend instead of during the middle of the week. You got your kids can't watch them because they're either still sleeping or if they're getting ready for school, if they start, depending on when school starts. And for a lot of people, they got to work.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I woke up. For me, it was the normal time that I'm waking up.
Yeah, I woke
It's
up
just
an hour early.
That's when I'm normally waking up, so I can start getting ready to get to work. So for me, it didn't feel like I was up any earlier, but imagine if I was still living out in Portland, Oregon. That game started at 3 in the morning.
3 in the morning. You ain't waking up for that.
No, I'm probably not.
And the last time I saw 3 in the morning was the other side of it. Well, maybe not, but I guess I got babies and stuff, so that probably.
I think that's what I would have done if I was out on the West Coast. I think it would have been one of those. I'm going to take a nap when if I had gotten home from work, because I was working second shift and getting off work at 8 in the evening. I think I either would have stayed up and then taken the next day off, the preceding Tuesday off, so I could nap and probably get back to my normal sleep schedule, or I would have taken a nap when I got home and then tried to get up a little early.
Yeah. Man, yeah, I totally agree. It should have been yesterday and today for
or at least to put it on a Friday, because people I think are more likely to say, you know what, I want to see this.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch my team. It's a lot easier to take a day off on the Friday than in the middle of the week or in the beginning of the week.
Yep. No, I totally agree. So, okay, with that, Rich, we're actually we might be done a little quick today. Maybe not. We'll talk about. So, football. There's a few proposed rule changes that we need to discuss. Here's how we're going to handle it. Okay, we are going to announce the proposals. All we're going to do right now, Rich, is yay and nay. How about this? We'll do the proposals. We'll both get a 10-second soundbite-esque argument, yay or nay, however you think you're going to vote, and then you vote. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. So, with that, Rich, we're going to do the rule that apparently is going to come back every year, eliminating the tush push. Argument. Ready? Go.
I'm gonna go nay.
You have to give your argument, your 10-second argument, Rich. So let's start that again. Ready?
Okay.
And you have 10 seconds starting.
Sure. Okay.
Now.
Learn to defend it. Just because you don't know how to defend it doesn't mean it should be banned.
Okay, good enough. I'm going to argue it's a league of copycats, so learn how to make that play work for you. If you can't learn how to make it work for you, you've learned everything else in the league. Okay, and voting all in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Nay. Okay, nays have it on ours. Okay. Proposal number 2, Rich. Automatic first downs for illegal contact and defensive holding penalties will be eliminated. So a defensive hold or a contact is only a 5-yard penalty, and after that, it doesn't matter. Arguments.
I'm going to go with yes, don't. But I find it odd that the person that's proposing this rule is the team that got penalized the most for these types of penalties. But I think I'm going to go on the side of that the yardage for the penalty is enough. It should not. I'm okay with it not necessitating an automatic first down.
So you're voting it. So your argument is for a yay. I'm going to vote the opposite. Yeah. I'm going to say generally when you contact somebody or you hold defensively in where these are being called, they should be. The likelihood is You are preventing a first down from happening. So, no, I'm going to say you deserve a first down. With that, yays. Up or down, Rich? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I'm gonna go. I'm kind of indifferent. I'm gonna go indifferent.
Okay.
I'm gonna vote like I'm gonna vote
Let the crowd vote.
Present.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go present.
Okay. Rich, resolution by the Philadelphia Eagles. Both teams are guaranteed a possession in overtime during regular season, aligning with the current rules for playoffs. Essentially, it's the playoff rules all year round. Consistency makes sense. That's my argument. Yours?
Yeah, you took my point. If you can't play, you shouldn't be playing with different sets of rules between the regular season and the playoffs.
Let's vote it in.
I hope that one gets voted in.
Okay, Pittsburgh Steelers. Some direct contact pending free agency. Teams are allowed to negotiate a negotiation window preceding official first day of the league. So what that means is legal tampering before the first day of the league. It's happening already. How are guys making deals at midnight on day one of this if they haven't already been in negotiations? It's happening already. Let's just put it out there. We know that it is. Fine. Let's go. Yours?
I want more information on what. It's too vague. It's too vague for me to say to vote. Yeah, let's allow it. So I'm gonna have to go with the nay on that one and go with the thumbs down on that.
I voted up. Okay, Rich. A change that produced by multiple teams, essentially letting you prepare the kickballs for kicking as the same way you do regular balls.
I honestly didn't know that this was a thing. I thought you could prepare the kickballs.
Me too. So,
yeah.
Okay. And Rich, I will let you explain the biggest one of them all.
Okay. So the biggest one proposed by the Detroit Lions was that the division winner with the conference's best record would still receive the number 1 overall seed. But after that, the teams would be stacked by records regardless of whether they won their divisions or received wild card berths. So as an example, we had 3 big, great records by the NFC North this year, with the Vikings at 14-3, the Packers at 11-6, and the Lions at 15-2. So in that format, the Lions had the number 1 seed, the Vikings were 5, the Packers were 7, but under this proposal, the Vikings would go up to have the number 3 seed, getting a home playoff game, as would the Packers, as they would have the number 5 seed. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Being in a bad division shouldn't result in you getting a home game first week of the playoffs. I'm for it.
I am going to say that I am for it, but if you're going to throw out the division, I'm going to say that I'm for it, but only if this eliminates an automatic playoff berth because you won your division. So if there's a team that has a better record but didn't qualify for a wild card spot because they have to let in like an 8-8 or an 8-8 or maybe even like an 8 and we saw like a team with a 7-9 record make the playoffs one year because their division was that bad. If you could have a team that has a good regular season record make the playoffs as well, then I'm for it. But if they still allow that if you win your division you automatically make the playoffs, then you still hang a banner for winning a playoff series. So I would still say you get your playoff game, you get your home playoff game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I have a hard time any team sub 500 making it in, but I don't think that it's all that crazy to have it in general. So
I mean, you're still allowing that you're still reseeding the bracket each and every time, to where
Yeah.
the number one, the higher seeded team is still going to face a lower seeded team.
Yeah.
It's not a set bracket each time.
Here's
Each
another
round is being reseeded.
and I actually we'll talk about it. I guess I'll give it up. How about this for a concept? If you are a division winner, sub 500, you have to play the lowest ranked or the lowest seeded team. If there is a team above 500 that it does not make the playoffs, you have to play them.
So you're adding a week to the schedule in the odd event that there's a non-playoff, a non-wild card team if they have a better record than a division winner.
Yeah. So like Tampa 2 years ago, I think it was when Tampa made the playoffs at like 7-9. They have to play. I don't remember, but they would have had to play a team that had a winning record who didn't make the playoffs in order the top winning record team of the playoffs in order to make sure to see who actually gets in the real playoffs.
Okay. Mike, how would you feel about the 4 worst ranked teams having to play a mini tournament to determine who gets the playoff, who gets the draft positionings?
I like that concept too.
Kind of like your consolation bracket in fantasy football, where you win, you get a higher draft pick.
Honestly, I think that
I'd almost rather see that than the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, no, I would too. I would 100% too. I'd love to see that. The last 4 teams play. How about this? You add a week of playoffs. That first week of playoffs. No. Listen.
don't even need to
watch
do
this.
that.
Watch this. You get 6 games. You're going to get 6 games out of it. Okay? Or you're going to get. Yeah, you're going to get 6 games in each division out of it. Each conference out of it. Potentially. You're guaranteed 2 games. 3 games.
You just take you take the first 4 games. You have the championship, the right to get the number 1 pick.
Yep.
As on Pro Bowl, in place of the Pro Bowl. And because you only have 4 games on the conference championship games that are split between Friday and Saturday, Amazon and the network that doesn't get an NFC championship game would take a game, throw one of those games on Thursday, throw one of them on Monday.
Yeah,
and then the winner goes to a neutral site that maybe a city that's the city that's going to host the NFL draft that year gets the toilet bowl game.
Right
for the number 1 pick.
Let's do it. Okay, let's move on, Rich, as we are now at the time where we need to tell folks about. By the way, I think we both said yes. Why not? Let's first give our spoiler alert. I will be talking about the Masked Singer.
Yeah.
In about.
I'm gonna be going offline.
Rich is joining you this week for the spoiler alert moment. I will wave at Rich so he can take us out of the show and do shout outs. Rich, remove your headset. I will. I'm gonna talk like this to the microphone so you can't actually hear me. Okay, folks. So this week in Masked Singer, we saw the top 3 from Group B go head to head. They all sang amazingly well, and it was hard to tell who was going to go home. If we based it solely on this week's game or this week's show, it should have been nobody. Too good to have that, and so it was rough. The Pearl was the one that got the automatic entry, and she she won the night, and then after the Pearl, it then went to a showdown, and in the showdown you had Boogie Woogie versus the Griffin. The Griffin lost, and it was James Vanderbleek. With that, kind of amazing. I thought he did great. Rich, come on back. Okay. And folks, now you know, and Rich doesn't. With esports, we have 2 matches, Monday and Tuesday. They'll be on YouTube. I'll try to share them. Check those out. Rich, any shout-outs for the week?
I guess just continue to get well, Uncle Steve. So
Yeah.
you're, considering you had surgery 2 weeks ago, you were moving around pretty well. But I know it's still a little bit of a long road for recovery, so just hanging in there. Don't get discouraged with all the PT and with all the PT that are still upcoming to get you fully back up to speed.
With that, Rich, what's it time to do?
Well, Mike, let's roll that outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.